Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
This time, we're taking you to Hollywood.
Ooh.
But not the Hollywood you're thinking of, you know?
Not the fun stuff.
Not the fun stuff. Yeah, no red carpets, no, big opening nights.
Right.
This is a real-life thriller.
It is the thriller.
And it's a disturbing story.
Yeah, this one stays with you.
Yeah, and you sent us a ton of material on this case.
I did.
We've got news articles, court transcripts.
Oh, yeah.
Even excerpts from a graphic novel.
Yeah.
And that's actually a key part of this whole thing.
It is.
So we're going to unpack all of that.
Okay.
Explore the twists and turns.
Lots of twists and turns.
And hopefully we'll shed some light on what really happened to Jana Kasian.
Jana Kasian.
A young woman from Ukraine whose dreams of a Hollywood life were tragically cut short.
They were.
So what makes this case so fascinating? I mean, aside from the obvious Hollywood connection.
Yeah. I mean, besides that, I think what's really interesting here is how it just kind of defies simple explanations.
Yeah.
Like, we're dealing with a really complex web of relationships.
Right.
Family fortune. Shrouded in all this mystery.
Right.
And then a crime that seems like it was ripped from a thriller novel.
So let's
start.
Let's start at the beginning.
Beginning.
Who is Jana Kasian?
So Jana Kasian was this young woman full of life, full of ambition.
Yeah.
She had a successful career back in Ukraine.
Okay.
She was a tax lawyer.
Wow.
But she was drawn to Hollywood.
Okay.
She wanted to experience the California dream.
That,
That pull.
Yeah. She wanted to reinvent herself.
Okay.
She wanted to become a translator.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it seemed like she found that dream.
Yeah.
At least for a little while.
For a time. Yeah.
Yeah, when she met Blake Liel.
So Blake Liel, now he was Canadian.
Okay.
A filmmaker.
Right.
And heir to a pretty substantial fortune.
Oh, so we're already talking about some privilege here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wealth and privilege, for sure.
So they fall in love. They have a daughter named Diana. And from the outside, it looks like they have it all.
It does, right?
The perfect Hollywood couple.
On the surface.
Yeah.
But we know appearances can be deceiving.
Absolutely. And things with Blake weren't always as rosy as they seemed.
No, they weren't.
He had a complex past.
Like he did.
Estranged from his father.
Right, a prominent real estate developer.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and there were just these hints that there was something darker beneath that charming facade.
No, it's important to note that Blake wasn't just a trust fund kid. He was actually passionate about filmmaking.
Right.
He had written and directed several projects, including a film called Syndrome.
And a graphic novel.
A graphic novel that shares the same title.
Right.
And it's that graphic novel that really adds this chilling layer to this whole story.
Absolutely.
But before we get into that, let's talk about Blake's family a little bit.
Okay.
You mentioned he had a brother, Cody.
You did, yeah.
What can you tell us about Cody?
Cody Liel. Well, Cody was, let's just say, the more flamboyant of the two brothers.
Okay. All right. So a little more out there.
A little more out there. High stakes poker.
Okay.
Rumored connections to some pretty unsavory characters, including the Russian mafia.
Wow. Okay. So we've got family drama. We've got a potential connection to organized crime.
Right.
This is already...
It's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the love triangle.
Oh, yeah.
Because Blake was also involved with another woman.
Right.
While he was with Jana.
He was.
Right?
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So while he's living with Jana and their newborn daughter.
Wow.
He's also in a relationship with this woman named Constance.
Okay.
This wasn't just like a casual thing. It was serious.
Oh, wow.
A serious entanglement that had pretty devastating consequences.
So Blake is juggling these multiple relationships.
He is.
He's dealing with anxieties about his brother, and he's trying to make it big in Hollywood.
All at the same time.
All while Jana is trying to adjust to motherhood and build a new life in a new country.
It's a recipe for disaster.
It sounds like a pressure cooker waiting to explode.
Yeah. It definitely was.
Yeah.
And, as that pressure mounted, things started to unravel in a really horrifying way.
Yeah.
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 All right. So we're setting the stage here for a story that's
gonna get it.
It's about to take a very dark turn.
Very dark.
Right, this entanglement with Constance.
Right. Ultimately leads to a turning point in the story.
Yeah, a big one.
She accuses Blake of sexual assault.
She does. Yeah, it's really chilling how quickly things escalated.
And Ayanna bails him out of jail
She does.
after this accusation.
It seems unimaginable.
Yeah, you almost can't wrap your head around that.
But it speaks to her loyalty
Yeah.
and maybe a certain naivete about the man she loved.
It makes you wonder about the kind of control
Yeah.
Blake might have had over her at that point.
Yeah, there's
That's
this
a question.
a red flag that was missed.
Yeah, was this out of character?
Truly out of character for Blake?
It's hard to say for certain,
Yeah.
but from what we know,
Right.
it seems like a pattern was emerging.
Okay.
After this incident, Blake became more isolated, more demanding and controlling towards Ayanna.
Okay.
He even insisted that Diana,
Their daughter.
their daughter,
Wow.
live with Ayanna's mother in
Okay.
a separate apartment. So he's pushing away.
Yeah, he was
Well,
his own daughter.
He was retreating further into himself.
So not only is he dealing with this public accusation and the potential legal fallout, but he's also isolating Ayanna from her support system
Right.
and pushing away his own daughter.
It's a recipe for
I can't imagine.
disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This must be where Ayanna's mother, Olga, starts to get really concerned.
Olga had a mother's intuition,
Right.
and she was worried sick.
Yeah.
She urged Ayanna to leave Blake. She sensed that something was terribly wrong.
But Ayanna couldn't bring herself to break free.
Yeah.
And this is where the story takes
Yes.
a really tragic turn.
It does. Olga's attempts to reach Ayanna become more and more frantic, ultimately leading to a chilling discovery.
Yes, Olga's persistence and her love for her daughter
Right.
really becomes central to this whole story.
Yeah.
She called the police multiple times, begging them to check on Ayanna.
But they were hesitant.
They didn't have enough evidence
Right.
to justify a forced entry.
It must have been agonizing for her
It was,
to know something was wrong,
yeah, a desperate situation.
but be powerless to act.
She even went to the condo herself, trying to get Blake's attention,
Yeah.
but he ignored her.
Wow.
She was torn
Yeah.
between needing to find her daughter
Right.
and taking care of baby Diana,
Oh my God.
who was with a friend at the time.
So she's stuck
Yeah.
between this rock and a hard place.
Yeah, it was
And she has this terrible feeling that time is running out.
awful.
Did the police finally intervene?
They did,
Okay.
thanks to Olga's efforts.
Yeah.
The police finally agreed to enter the condo.
Okay.
They were concerned that Ayanna might be in medical distress.
Because of the recent childbirth?
Right, but even then,
Yeah.
they made Olga wait outside.
That must have been unbearable.
It must have been just agonizing.
Waiting out
The suspense.
while they searched,
Horrible.
not knowing what they would find.
Tragically, her worst fears were confirmed.
Oh no.
The police discovered Ayanna's body.
In the master bedroom.
Yeah.
Can you describe what they found?
It was horrific.
Yeah.
Ayanna had been brutally murdered.
What does that mean?
She had been scalped,
Oh my God.
and there were signs of a prolonged and violent struggle.
My God.
But one thing that was really striking,
Yeah.
aside from the brutality, was the lack of blood.
Okay.
It was clear that someone had tried to clean up the evidence.
So we have this gruesome crime scene
We do.
that's been meticulously clean.
Right.
And all signs point to Blake.
Yeah.
Was he at the condo?
He was.
Okay.
When the police entered the condo,
Yeah.
they found Blake barricaded in the guest bedroom.
Oh, wow.
He eventually surrendered, but his demeanor was unusual.
What do you mean?
There's this photo of him from the arrest,
Ra.
and he's smiling.
Smiling.
Yeah, it's this chilling detail. That just adds another layer of mystery to this whole thing.
So was he in shock?
It's the question everyone was asking.
Or was it something more calculated?
Right.
An attempt to appear unfazed?
Right. It speaks to the complex psychology at play here.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
this is bizarre.
The investigators were baffled.
Yeah.
They couldn't find a clear motive.
Okay.
There was no evidence of a drug-fueled rage.
Okay.
And the theory about the Russian mafia
Right. Connected to his brother.
connected to his brother.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to pan out.
So we have this brutal crime,
Right.
a suspect with a peculiar reaction and
Yeah.
no obvious motive.
No easy answers.
Did they uncover anything else at the crime scene?
So this is where forensic science comes in.
Okay.
You remember I mentioned the lack of blood
Right.
at the scene?
Yeah, it was very strange.
Well, the crime scene investigators used luminol
Luminol.
which reacts with even trace amounts of blood.
Right, even if it's been cleaned up.
Exactly.
I remember reading about this. In the case files,
Yeah.
didn't they use luminol to expose the attempted cover-up?
The results were shocking.
Yeah.
The bathroom,
Yeah.
the guest bedroom,
Wow.
the hallway, it all lit up.
Vindicating that.
That there had been a frantic attempt to erase the evidence.
Wow. So not only was Ayana brutally murdered,
Right.
but someone went to great lengths to conceal the crime.
Exactly.
I mean, that level of premeditation
She does.
suggests a cold and calculating mind.
It's a chilling detail.
What about the trash chute?
Yes.
Right outside his condo?
Investigators found bags of blood-soaked towels, bedding, clothing,
Oh my gosh.
all thrown down the chute.
So they were trying to get rid of
Yeah.
evidence.
And they found a bed skirt
Uh-huh.
with a bloody handprint.
A handprint?
A handprint.
That's pretty damning evidence.
It was.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse for Blake,
Yeah.
the handprint was missing part of the pinky finger,
Okay.
which matched an injury that Blake had.
Oh my.
It was a direct link to the crime scene.
So it sounds like the prosecution was building a pretty strong case against Blake.
They were?
We have the crime scene. We have the botched attempt to cover it up.
Right.
And now we have a bloody handprint that matches the suspect. But
Yeah.
what about a motive?
That remained the biggest mystery.
Did they ever figure out?
Even Blake's own family and friends
Yeah.
couldn't really offer any insights.
Yeah.
However, there was one piece of evidence
Oh.
that the prosecution thought was key.
Okay, what's that?
His graphic novel syndrome.
Right.
They argued that it wasn't just fiction,
Okay.
but a blueprint for Ayana's murder.
They thought that the graphic novel was
Yeah.
a plan.
The similarities were just too disturbing to ignore.
So there are similarities between the graphic novel.
There's a particularly graphic scene where a character scalps a victim and drains their blood,
Oh my god.
which mirrored what happened to Ayana.
Wow. That's a chilling parallel.
It is.
But didn't the defense argue that Blake
They did.
wasn't the only author?
They tried to distance him from the novel,
Okay.
claiming that he had hired writers.
Okay.
They said it was just a coincidence that the fictional events mirrored the real-life crime.
So they were basically trying to portray him as a wealthy dilettante with this morbid fascination,
Just a morbid fascination.
other than the mastermind behind the murder.
Exactly.
But if the graphic novel wasn't
Right.
a direct reflection of Blake's own thoughts, then what could explain his actions?
The prosecution brought in a forensic psychologist
Okay.
to analyze the case.
And,
He never actually met Blake,
okay.
but he studied the evidence
Okay.
and offered this pretty chilling assessment of Blake's mental state.
And what was that?
He argued that Blake,
Yeah.
despite his wealth and privilege,
Right.
had deep-seated psychological issues.
Okay.
He was estranged from his father. He had a history of controlling behavior towards women,
Okay.
and he seemed to live in this world
Yeah.
where fantasy and reality blurred.
So they were basically saying that Blake wasn't just a passive consumer of violent imagery,
Right.
but someone who actually cultivated these fantasies and then eventually acted them out.
Exactly.
That's a risky strategy.
It was a bold move,
Could they really convince a jury
right?
that a graphic novel, even one with these disturbing parallels,
Right.
could be used as evidence of premeditation?
It was a gamble,
Oh, yeah.
but it proved effective.
Okay.
They argued that the graphic novel wasn't just random fiction. It was a window into Blake's psyche,
Okay.
a glimpse into his darkest desires.
And so they built this case
Yeah,
that suggested that Blake's obsession with power and control, coupled with this disturbed imagination,
right.
had led him to murder.
Down a very dark path.
And did the jury buy it?
Well, the jury deliberated. They weighed the evidence, they heard the arguments from both sides,
Right.
and in the end,
Yeah.
they reached a verdict. Guilty.
Wow.
The jury found Blake Liebel guilty of first-degree murder.
Wow.
He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
So a sense of justice, I guess, for Ayana's family and friends?
Yeah, I think so.
What?
But it doesn't really erase the tragedy.
No, of course not. And it doesn't bring Ayana back.
No.
What about their daughter, Diana?
Right.
She was just a baby when all this happened.
Yeah, just a toddler.
What became of her?
So Diana's story is just another layer of sadness for this whole thing.
Yeah.
Ayana had dreamed of raising her daughter in America.
Right here in California.
Right.
Right.
Tragically,
Yeah.
because of a lack of support from the Liebel family.
Wow.
Diana's now living in Ukraine with her grandmother Olga.
No support at all.
No.
But Blake came from a wealthy family.
I know.
You would think that they would want make sure that their granddaughter was taken care of.
You would, but sadly that's not what happened.
Wow.
Olga's been raising Diana on her own.
Completely on her own.
Yeah, no financial assistance from the Liels.
And they've just been
completely absent from her life.
It's hard to fathom that a family with that kind of wealth
I know.
could be so indifferent.
It's a reminder that money and privilege don't necessarily equal compassion.
Right, or responsibility.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been so insightful.
It has.
But it's also been incredibly heavy.
It's a tough one.
We've explored the relationships, the unsettling role of that graphic novel, the legal arguments that led to Blake's conviction. But there's still this unease, this lingering question.
What is it?
That hangs over this story.
What's the question?
What was going on in Blake Liebel's mind? Was he really driven by these fantasies from his graphic novel?
Was it all just fantasy made real?
Or was there something else? Some deeper psychological disturbance that we haven't fully grasped?
Yeah, we've looked into this dark corner, but we can't fully comprehend the depths of it.
You know, I think what strikes me most about this case is Olga's strength.
Yes.
I mean, she had to endure the unimaginable.
I know she had to identify her daughter's body.
Right.
She had to sit through that trial.
Right, and now raise Diana alone.
And she's doing it all on her own.
It's a testament to the power of mother's love.
Absolutely.
Even in the face of this horrific loss.
She's a survivor.
She found a way to persevere. To fight for justice for Ayana. And to provide a loving home for Diana.
She's an inspiration.
And it's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope and love can endure.
They can.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that we all have a responsibility to look out for each other. To pay attention to those signs.
Signs of abuse.
Of abuse and control.
Control.
Yeah. And to speak up.
To speak up when we see something wrong.
We can't be passive bystanders.
No, we can't.
Hoping that these kinds of tragedies will just go away.
We have to be active.
We have to be willing to have those difficult conversations, to challenge the status quo, and to support those who are vulnerable.
I agree.
You've given us a lot to think about today.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
On this deep dive.
At any time.
And to our listeners, if this case has sparked any thoughts or concerns for you, we encourage you to keep exploring.
Do your own research.
Share your insights. Do your own research.
And remember Ayana.
Most importantly, remember Ayana's story.
Her story deserves to be told.
It's a story that reminds us of the fragility of life and the importance of compassion.
And understanding.
Until next time.
Yes.
Keep exploring. Keep questioning.
Keep diving.
And keep diving deep.